Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let us continue with the theories of literary criticism. And I hope that this PowerPoint presentation will certainly help us out in order to clarify our point of view, our ideas regarding criticism, that what it is, in fact. And I hope that all of you are listening to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Introduction to literary criticism. Literary criticism has two main functions. As we have discussed already in our previous lecture, that there are so many functions of literary criticism. Literary criticism has two main functions. Number one, to analyze, study, and evaluate works of literature. It means that whenever we have any piece of literature, we will have to look at it, especially in the light of these three uh, means aspects. Number one, to analyze it, to study, and to evaluate it. And number two, to form general principles for examination of works of literature. And the second most important thing is that we will have to form certain principles in order to means examine the works of literature. So these are the two functions of literary criticism. Common characteristics of literary criticism. M.S. Abrams points out in The Mirror and the Lamp that any reasonably adequate theory takes some account of four elements. These elements are, no, see that theory, most of the theory or any theory or reasonable theory certainly is based on these four elements. Number one, the work itself. The work itself means that the piece of literature which is before you. And number two, the artist who creates the work. Now you will have also to keep into consideration the artist. And number third is the universe or the nature that is being imitated by the work. Certainly, there are certain things which are imitated in the work of art. And number four is the audience of the work. So, audience and the surroundings are the circumstances, artist himself, and the work of art. These are the four pillars on which the theory of literary criticism is based. 20th century literary theories. Now here we have the brief introduction of 20th century theories. The following slides discuss specific 20th century literary theories. As we discuss these, you may find yourself agreeing with one or two theories while disagreeing heartily with another. Keep in mind that no single theory offers the right answer about the work of literature. Good literature is simply too varied. Keeping an open mind and listening to other points of view can enrich your own insight. So these are the most important thing, that number one, your point of view is most important, and you may also uh, uh, pay attention towards the other's point of view as well. And educated people always welcome uh, other people's point of view as well. Why? In order to enrich their own knowledge, in order to enhance their own knowledge. That is the purpose of criticism. So over here, we have learned two things. Number one, your own knowledge, and number two, you must be or you should be very much open-minded to say welcome to others' point of views as well. Here we are moving forward to formalism, as we have already discussed the same. But now see that what is the advantage of formalism? Has the advantage of forcing writers to evaluate a work on its own terms rather than to rely on accepted notions of the writer's work. Here, the most important thing is that either you are going to accept your own point of view or sorry, you may believe in your own point of view, or you are in a position to accept the notions or the point of views of other writers as well. Works based when applied to poetry and short fiction. So such type of uh, thing, or in other words, we can say that formalism certainly is applied to poetry and to short fiction as well. So here in formalism, we are very much open-minded, or we are always in a position to say welcome to others' point of view as well. What is formalism? Here we have means more clarification or explanation of formalism. Attempts to discover meaning by close reading of a work of literature. So, what means critics do, especially while following formalism, they try their level best to discover meaning. Meaning by reading the piece of literature and to infer the message of writers that they may easily speak more and more on it, and focuses on form, organization, and structure. Word choice and language, multiple meanings. Now, see, uh, being students of literature, you know very well that we have so many figures of speech. Through figures of speech, we may infer the meaning of the words. And you are well aware of irony, satire, metaphors, impersonation, alliteration, and other figures of speech. So here, style is there, organization of work is there, structure is there, word choice and language, and what type of words have been used over there, and then the language plays an important role, and then there are multiple meanings of words which are always used. Consider the work in isolation, disregarding author's intent, author's background, context, and anything else outside of the work itself. It means that we will have to focus our attention towards the piece of literature, or whatever is before us, and putting aside author's intention, his background, his context, and anything else. Context means circumstances, or content. Context means that environment. So these are the three most important things which are kept into consideration while going through any piece of literature. Now here, the difference between formalism and new criticism. Formalist movement began in England with the publication of I. A. Richards' Practical Criticism in 1929. American critics such as John Crowe Ransom, Robert Penn, Rain, and Clarence Brooks adapted formalism and termed their adaptation new criticism. So here, here the thing is very much clear that what is the difference between new criticism and formalism. Impact of formalism. Okay, before means impact of formalism here, new criticism varied from formalism in that new criticism focus on image, symbol, and meaning. Traditional formalists often attacked new critics for their lack of attention to the form of the work. Seminal works on new criticism include John Crowe Ransom's New Criticism in 1941 and Clarence Brooks' The Well-Wrought Urn. Here we have very much clear meaning or the clear difference between formalism and traditional new criticism and traditional formalists. Impact of formalism. Today, few critics follows only to formalists or new criticism theory. However, its back to the basics approach pervades many other critical theories. So in today's world, there's also impact of formalism over here, and we have other critics as well who always follow the basic approach of new criticism. Readers' response criticism. Now see, what is the response of readers as far as the criticism is concerned? Sees the readers as essential to the interpretation of work. Each reader is unique with different educations, experiences, moral values, opinions, tastes, and etc. Therefore, each reader's interaction with a work is unique. Now see that all of us over here in the world are unique in our temperaments, in our liking, disliking, in our opinions, in our values, even, and etc. So it is very much clear that when we look at any piece of literature objectively, then nearly all the readers are agreed on one point. Why? Because the personal uh, types of things are no more means taken into consideration, and they certainly have no any room in criticism. So In new criticism, the focus is objectivity of thing, not the subjectivity. For example, how do I look at the thing? It is my personal point of view. But as far as the criticism is concerned and the new criticism is concerned, then we certainly don't pay attention uh, towards the subjectivity, but our focus of attention is objectivity. As I gave you example of scientific experiment earlier. So here, what is the reaction of readers? How do they interpret any work of art? Second point is analyzes the features of text that shape and guide readers' reading. Emphasizes recursive reading, reading for new interpretation. And here, reading for new interpretation means we interpret information or we interpret messages in the light of our own experiences and background knowledge. Reader's response criticism. Reader's response theory has been criticized as being overly impressionistic and guilty of affective fallacy. Too focused on the emotional effect of the work. It means that whenever any emotion or feeling, in other words, we can say that when emotions and feelings are involved in criticism, it means that it will be not allowed or it will be criticized. Less tactful critics have plainly said that it is not intellectual. And when any critic allows his emotions and feelings to be involved in the work of criticism, then critics will certainly reject it by labeling it that the work is not intellectual one. Why? Because we know very well that intellect is entirely different than that of feelings and emotions of people. So feelings and emotions are certainly means uh, important, but they must not be late uh, to be to interfere, especially in the work of art. These attacks resulted in an adaptation of readers' response criticism called perception theory. So it has been labeled as perception theory. It means that it is your personal perception regarding the work of art. And it will certainly disturb objectivity of the thing. A reception theory is applied to the general reading public rather than an individual reader. Each generation has different experiences, values, issues, and etc. Therefore, each generation will read a work differently. And this is also natural. Biographical criticism analyzes an author's life in regard to their work. When we want to discuss author's life, especially in the light of his work, which he puts forward, then it is called biographical criticism. And the best example, I think that you have not studied that course, but it may be possible that you may well aware of the name of Bacon. And Bacon essays are very much popular, but
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
they have not been prescribed on your course. As far as the personal life
Yes, sir.
of Bacon is concerned, then he was not quite good man as far as his work is concerned. So he was considered very much disloyal to his friends in his personal life. Even he was a victim of bankruptcy during his lifetime. So when we look at his personal life, we will find him entirely different than work, that of the work he produced. When you go through his works, then, for example, his essays of truth, of children, of marriage life, and etc. And there was others as well, of Gordon. For example, in Of Garden, he starts his, and Of Death, he starts his essay that first of all, the first garden Almighty Allah planted, that is called Garden of Paradise. Paradise. Now see that when he come up with such type of highest level of ideas, and in Of Death, he says that people fear death, as children fear to go into the darkness. But as far as the death is concerned, then it is as easiest as the birth of man. So if there's any difficulty in during the birth, the same difficulty you will face, especially at the time of death. Otherwise, we have developed a fear in our inner self, and the people always make us fear from. Sorry, people always frightens us, frighten us from such type of thing. And certainly, the death is not quite easy type of thing that we may discuss. Being human beings, we are very much uh, frightened uh, regarding the topic are as far as the death is concerned. So now see that over here the point is this, that we will have to look at the thing, especially means separate from the author's life. So that's why I give you example. Can enhance the understanding of work. So uh, you should try your level best to be focused on the work. Must be used carefully. Example, Cat Chopin. Mark Cat Chopin is one of the writers, and you should use the work very carefully, and certain type of things must be kept into consideration. Sociological criticism. Sociological criticism maintains that the literary work cannot be separated from the social context in which it was created. Why? Because we are the part and parcel of society. We are living in the same society, number one. And number two, what is the definition of literature? It is the mirror of society. So, literary work cannot be separated from the social context in which it was created. Social context means that in the society in which we are living, in general, sociological criticism examines one of these two aspects. But as far as the social criticism is concerned, then it uh, examines the following 2 points: condition of production, such as schools, magazines, publishers, and fashions. Point number two, the applicability of a given work, fiction, especially in studying the dynamics of a given society. What is the applicability? How we will be able to apply fiction and fiction? how we can apply whatever we have learned. Why? Because we have studied the most important dynamics of society. What do we discuss especially is under the headings of different topics of literature. Certainly man lives in a society. So as I mentioned earlier, even in the class, time and again, that how you will be able to raise your voice against such type of injustice in your society. For example, as you gave as you presented your topics on the various issues and problems that have been highlighted by Wollstonecraft, then what was the purpose behind it? The chief purpose of it was how to apply all these things which we have learned over here in our society. I also suggested all of you that individually, you may try your level best to start your work from home. When time and again you point out the different type of things which are not in favor of women education, especially girls education, then with the passage of time, your family members will pay attention towards you. And they will certainly bring change. So that would be the most important duty to be performed on your part. This is the most important thing. So the applicability of a given work, by given work means literature or fiction, especially in studying the dynamics of a given society, is essential. So this is the sociological criticism, and I think that this is the most important type of important type of topic over here. Types of sociological criticism. Now see, we have again over here the types. It means that sociological criticism has been divided into the following categories. Sociological theory is so broad that it can be subdivided in many different categories. Two dominant theories we will study are feminist criticism, Marxist criticism, Feminist criticism means, now see that how, as we have Wollstonecraft's work, Vindication of the Rights of Women. It means that she has raised her voice means for the rights of women in society. The rights of women in society means that women or girls must be educated and they must be provided equal rights in all walks of life. Either means it may be educational institutions, or they may be in army, they may be in different type of games and etc. Means all walks of life. They must move shoulder to shoulder with means men in society. And Marxist criticism and criticism that was put forward by Karl Marx. Feminist criticism. Feminist criticism grew out of the women's movement that followed World War II. Okay? Feminist critics analyzed the role of gender in works of literature. So this was the most important topic that what is the role of gender in the work of literature. A leading critic, Eleni Showalter, describes two purposes of feminist criticism. Purpose number one, feminist critique, the analysis of works by male authors, especially in the depiction of women's writing. So, what is the role of male authors over here, and especially uh, uh, when women depicts or presents their writings. And genocriticism, the study of women's writing. Women's writing means certainly we have so many women writers, James Joyce and others are there. And then when they put forward their piece of literature or their works of literature, then certainly they were strongly criticized by critics of those days. For what? That as they were considered inferior to male members of society. So that's why their each and everything was placed at the second number. Why? Because work of art is produced especially with the help of intellectual type of abilities. So as they are no more considered intellectual in the world, so that's why their work was not given proper importance or proper significance in those days. Feminist critics have been responsible for recovering neglected work by women authors through the ages and creating a canon of women's writing. It means that canon of women's writing means that certain laws and rules and regulations that were fixed for uh, women writers, that they must follow certain rules and etc. A case in point a case in point is Cat Chopin. She was fairly widely published in 1890s, means in the last decade of the 19th century. But her work was largely neglected by literary critics until the 1960s. Now, you may see that for the period of 70 years, her works were put into the shelves and etc. under the dust when Chopin was rediscovered by feminist critics. So, at last, again, female critics tried their level best to upheld her position, and her works were certainly presented over there. Marxist, Marxist criticism. Marxist criticism is based on the social and economic theories of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Their beliefs include the following. Now, see, Karl Marx is very much popular because of his economical theories, which he put forward. And those theories uh, certainly supported the middle and lower class of the society. Why? Because we know very well that certainly people from the rich class of society are always in power and they have all the resources and etc. And they have exploited poor people and the people from the middle class of society. So as a result, Marx put forward the theories to support the middle and lower class type of people, that they not be exploited at least. And we know very well that economy plays a vital role, especially the life of man. If economically you are no more strong, then certainly you will face thousands of the problems in society. And even the economical issue creates the greatest hindrance in the way of acquiring even education. And education that uh, kindles the light in the brain of man, that he may raise his voice against the atrocities of the cruel people in society. Their beliefs include the following. Number one, value is based on labor. Value is based on labor. Okay? Value is not based on the class differences. That if you, for example, if you are rich and if you are landlord, or if you own a certain type of industry or mills and etc., so you are quite good and you possess the best character, right? But Marx introduced one most important thing, that the value is based on labor. It means that if you work hard in order to achieve highest type of thing in your life, it means that you must be respected over here. You must be respected. And the criteria for the test should not be lands, money, influences, but only your labor, your hard work. Why? Because your labor and hard work earns you lot of knowledge, and this knowledge and this education will certainly makes you different, or makes or distinguish you in society. The working class will eventually overthrow the capitalist middle class. Working class, certainly working class of people, labor has always been in majority. So that's why they are more powerful people. Why? Because human power is along with them, and they may overthrow capitalists. Why? Because they are few, and they have always been in minority. In the meantime, the middle class exploits the working class, the labor class. And the best example of the same is, I think that uh, 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 it is very much understandable, and it is very much important. Do you know that means in district Tharparkar, we have women over there and who always make good things, or even their clothes, or they are other things and other things, and those things have and those production, or that production is internationally accepted. Why? Because they represent different type of cultures. What people do, they move from Karachi and they purchase their production at the cheapest rates, and then export all the production and earn thousands of the dollars, right? So this is the misuse of labor class. This is the exploitation of working class. Same is the case in the industries. Same is the case in the mills. Same is the case in private organizations where your services are hired at the cheapest rates, and owner of industry earns a lot. So that's why day by day he becomes more and more rich and you become more and more poor. Hands are yours. Working hours means have been increased, that more and more work may be uh, done, and more production may be received. But what is the wage? The wage is nothing. The wage means the amount they pay you is very low, that you may simply live and work for them. So this is the Marxist theory. Most institutions, religious, legal, educational, and governmental, are corrupted by middle class capitalists. Now see how he has highlighted the most important issues of our society. Religious institutions, recently you have come to know that how do the international organizations are going to pay to religious people in the country. And legal, what is the condition of court of law in the country? It is before you. Educational, what is the standard of education that prevails in the country? It is also before you. And so if you analyze the things, then each and every means fault and folly will be surfaced. And governmental, and then corrupted by whom? Middle class. Middle class, they want to be rich. So that's why they misuse all these people, workers, and they have corrupted the whole the system. So yeah. Marxist critics apply these economic and social theories to literature by analyzing ideologies that support the elite and place the working class at disadvantage. So there's a class conflict. So they have come up with the new ideologies. As for example, uh, we we learn means are we are told by our religious or the so-called religious people that now see that Almighty Allah likes poor people. So that if you are poor, then you are very much close to Almighty Allah. So such type of ideologies, such type of ideas have been put forward in order to make you satisfy that whatever you are doing, whatever you are means working, or whatever life you are passing in the world, it is quite good. So this is so over here. There is an element of satisfaction behind it. In order to in order to make you satisfied, in order to make you satisfied, they always come up with such type of ideologies, and these ideologies have been rejected by Karl Marx. Marxism strongly influenced fiction, particularly American fiction, in the year 1930. So, even in educational institutions, such type of literature was introduced, which may lock the brains of people to think for their betterment, to think for their social change, how to change life, and how to be means how to be educated. It such type of things were stopped over there by introducing certain type of fiction or literature in the USA in the year 1930s. New historicism. New historicism critics view literature as a part of history and furthermore as an expression of forces on history. It means that there were certainly new historicisms who they introduced that literature has nothing to do with our life. It is the part and parcel of the past. So that's why there's no need of it to go through the literature. And you may move your life while living in the present time. New Historicism compares literary analysis to the dynamic cycles. The work tells us something about the surroundings ideology. For example, slavery, rights of women, and etc. A study of ideology tells us something about the work. It means that whole attention of man was diverted only to one thing, and that was to work for others and nothing else. As far as the slavery is concerned, as far as the rights of women are concerned, then, for example, till today we are told that beta, when I got married, and then I simply served your whole the family, your uncles and others and others and others, and whatever dowry I received in those days, I was given in those days, I spent whole of it on your family, your family. Why? Because I am a woman and my aim of life is to serve others and nothing else. And I spent whole of my life in baking food and eating them and etc. So such type of views certainly or such type of ideology is shared in order to prepare the today's girl to follow the footprints of that old lady, right? And they always means prepare you for the same thing. So what do they want from you? They want the same thing from you. Okay. If you follow them, when the change will occur? Never. Never then, what is the use of living in the 21st century? So these are the questions which always take place in the brains of intellectuals. So that's why they always guide the people. New Historicism, again, New Historicism takes two forms. Analysis of the work in the context in which it was created. You will you will certainly uh, put a glance on the environment in which it was written. Analysis of the work in the context in which it was critically then how it was evaluated. New historicism, New historicists assert that the literature does not exist outside time and place and cannot be interpreted without references to the era in which it was written. So here, you cannot separate literature from the times in which it was written, and time, place, and etc., and how it was interpreted. So it is essential to go through the literature, especially in the times when it was written. And readers are influenced by their culture. So no objective reading of a work is possible. Culture, culture is the certainly mood of a person to be adjusted, or ideology that you may adjust yourself, especially in the existing systems. That is called the culture. That, for example, culture means that how to come and how to attend the classes, and certainly the culture was said before. But you might have observed yourselves that certainly we have the variety of our professors in the university, and each and everyone tries his level best to uh, to adopt new methodologies in order to lead you in the right direction. Critics should consider how their own culture affects their interpretation of the historical influence on work. So now the critics are very much aware um, of the cultural effects. That, for example, if they are going to interpret the works of literature, then it will bring certain change in their cultures as well. Psychoanalytic criticism analyzes literature to reveal insight about the way the human mind works. So psychology means that to study the human mind. How does it work? It's based on the work of Sigmund Freud and his disciples. So certainly analytical analysis is certainly known with the name Sigmund Freud. works well as method of analyzing characters, actions, and motivations. That you will certainly analyze men with the help of his characters, men with the help of their characters and their actions and their motivations. And psychologically, you will certainly study men. That how do they think and what do they think and what is going on in their brains. So that's why you always put questions before them in order to have the positive answers from them. And when we speak, our words carry our thinking, our thinking, our characters, and etc. before others. How do we think? How do we feel? And what is our character? And how and what is our values? What are our values? So all these things we analyze through uh, psychology. Basic Freudian concepts. All actions are influenced by the unconscious. Now, conscious, unconscious, subconscious mind, we have already discussed. All actions are influenced by the unconscious. Human beings must repress many of their desires to live peacefully with others. This is the most important type of thing. That sometimes what we do, we always control our desires. Control our desires. For what? To live peacefully with others. If we want to fulfill our desires, then they will certainly bring chaos and confusion in our life. Why? Because all desires cannot be fulfilled. And we should not follow desires at all. But we should control our desires. In other words, we can say that if you if you are servant of your desires, whole of your life will be disturbed and you will not be able to enjoy it. But if you are master of your desires, then you will enjoy your life. Repressed desires often surface in the unconscious motivating actions. Certainly, there are hundreds and thousands of desires that are lying in our unconscious. And sometimes what we do, we control them, we press them hard, we immediately reject them, we send them to unconscious. And again, time and again, they come on surface. But again, we try to suppress them. But if desires are dominant, then man loses his each and everything. Desire and hopes. We should control our desires, but uh, we should hope for the best. Basic concepts. The mind has three major areas of activity: id, superego, ego. We have already discussed the same. Id, area in the unconscious that works for gratification through the pleasure principle. It always believe in pleasure principle. I want to get pleasure at any cost. I want to do this, so I'll do it. So this is called pleasure principle, and it will certainly damage our character. Superego, an internal sensor bringing social pressure to bear on the it. It means that superego is a social pressure. Society, we will never involve ourselves in such type of activities that may disrespect us in the eyes of our society. That is called superego. Ego, area in the consciousness that mediates among demands of social pressure, the id and the superego. And ego is between id and superego. Okay? And it keeps always balance. It keeps balance in the human personality. Mythological approach, largely attributed to the Carl Jung, and Jung is certainly psychologist as well, a disciple of Sigmund Freud. Archetype, a model or pattern from which all other things of similar nature are made. There's a model or pattern, and from there, all things of similar nature are made. Collective unconscious, there are certain basic and central images and experiences that are inherent in the human psyche. Analysis, acha, analysis what and work evokes a similar response in people, regardless of culture. Concerned with enduring patterns and how they are reflected in literature. Examples: stories of quest and initiation, descents into the underworld, ascents into heaven, search for father mother, fall from innocence. So these are the common themes of archetypes. Examples of archetypes: characters, scapegoat. Scapegoat means you may avoid any type of dangerous situation. Hero or villain, either you are hero or you are villain. Outcast, sorry, temptress, mother, father, mentor. So these are the examples. Okay, so here there are references. So in this way, we have completed this new criticism, and I hope that we have also discussed the different angles or different aspects of new criticism, and I'm sure that this presentation or these slides might have helped you in understanding new criticism, that how means it is used, and what are the basic or the good means benefits of the same, and how being a student of literature, we have to look at the things while analyzing them, or how do we look at the personalities of people in order to check or test them. So if any one of you want to ask me a question, then please let me know. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Is the topic clear? Hello?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Yes, sir. It is cleared.
Yes, sir. It is
Yes,
clear,
sir.
but sir,
Yes, sir, clear.
ourselves we will
So,
complete.
sorry?
Sir,
जी,
मां चयो असांखे सम्झ में अची वियो आहे, पर जेकॾहिं असां पाण वधीक पढ़ंदासीं त शयूं क्लियर थी
न तव्हां पाण वधीक न पढ़ो, तव्हां पाण छो पढ़ो?
सर असां पढ़ंदासीं तॾहिं त पेपर टाइम थींदो न.